The thorny issue of patent trolls, I tried to avoid talking about this, but I've had so many people ask me what my opinion of patent trolls is that I feel I have to say something. And so here's my take. There is a spectrum on which all entities that are involved with patents in one way or another fall, and it depends on where you fall on that line what you consider a patent troll to be. You consider everyone behind you to be okay, although you may also think that they're either clueless in terms of business or that they're fanatical zealots, and you consider everybody in front of you to be a patent troll. And I don't think there is actually an objective way of defining patent troll. It really depends on the individual. It's in the eye of the beholder, and each individual or each entity has its own agenda, so that kind of colors the whole thing too. So I'm going to run very quickly through the spectrum. So starting at the origin, you have sort of ideological freedom of information, freedom of knowledge zealots. Open source is the solution to everything, kind of people who feel that all knowledge belongs to all of humanity and there shouldn't be any kind of restriction on its dissemination. And as you can imagine, the rest of the business world tends to think they're a little bit wide-eyed about this. But I kind of admire their spirit in one sense. Then you have operating companies who come up with an idea, an invention, and have a product, and they want to protect it. So they go and get a patent, and they want to have freedom to act. They don't want other people suing them for infringement. So they are kind of the next step along, a bit more business focused. And but the patent there has a very specific goal, and it probably actually aligns most closely with the original idea behind the patent in some sense, in that it allows the inventor to then go off and practice and stop other people from stealing their idea or making knockoffs. But the next one on is where you have a company that comes up with an idea and then tries to make money from licensing it out to other parties, and they may have operations that provide supporting tools to help people use that invention more efficiently. So you might, for example, have an engineering standard, a company that's designed a new kind of embedded processor, for example, and licenses that design out to other companies to use in their products, and then provides them with assistance but expects a license fee in return. That's kind of an engineering standard. And then the next step on is when you have a company that comes up with an invention and it's more of a governmental standard. A government decides they're going to use a particular data format for cellular transmissions, for example, and the government could have picked another one, but this company has patents for that particular one. Now they're in a very strong position to get nice, good license fees and make big profits. Then the next step on are companies that actually go out and do research and patent it and then go and seek infringers. And actually, interestingly enough, universities fall in the category too. So what a lot of people think of as patent trolls would scoop up an awful lot of the top universities out there, because universities at the moment are actually quite busy patenting the research of their academics and trying to make some money off it. So I think that's something interesting to keep in mind, because we think of universities as this kind of supporting education and knowledge and advancement of human understanding of the universe, but they are also turning more and more into businesses in some ways. And then finally, at the end of the spectrum, we have entities that go out and snap up patents that have broad coverage, broad claims that the company thinks there are going to be a lot of infringers out there for, and they fire out tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of letters demanding license fees, sometimes to companies that haven't even actually infringed the invention in the first place. And they're playing a numbers game, that the amount they ask for the license is small enough, and they target enough companies that no individual company is going to actually bother trying to fight it. It's easier just to cough up the money. And that, to me, has some things in common with some companies out there that, well, not companies, some criminal gangs out there that send false invoices off to lots and lots of companies for goods that they never actually shipped. for example, office supplies or stuff like that, counting on the fact that there might be some admin clerk who will just go ahead and pay the invoice rather than spend the time to check that they actually got all the paper that the invoice claims they got. So that's kind of the spectrum, and I really do think that no matter where you stand on it, you will always think the people behind you are not patent trolls but maybe naive, and the people ahead of you are definitely patent trolls and that you are in the right. And so the question really is, where on that spectrum do you stand? Maybe some of you will come up with some comments explaining your take on this. Look forward to reading them. Bye for now.